Some tough calls that have left the internet blowing up. Lots to discuss here on the show. Kritzveen and I, let's take you very quickly through all of the headlines first. Right, World Humanitarian Day is what we're taking a look at today. Compassion is action. Individuals who have spent their life in this manner, closing the gap of suffering. We have with us two different heroes. One, a Nobel Peace Prize laureate. The other, a young man who in 2013 decided he needed to spring into action. Both their stories incredibly inspiring right here on the show.
Also joining us this morning is Mrs. Earth 2025, the Indian origin woman who's created history on this global platform. She's the first Indian origin woman to win the global title. Millie Bhaskar joins us live on The Breakfast Club. She'll also talk about how she strikes the perfect balance between her career and her family. She also is a strong advocate of yoga and breath work for mental wellness. We'll be going across to her in a few minutes from now.
And learning is reimagined in rural India. 100 government schools renovated by OSAT, empowering young minds. We're going to talk a little bit about how rural schools in Karnataka have been transformed with this initiative. Our top story today. World Humanitarian Day falls on the 19th of August, and it's a celebration of dedicated and committed humanitarians around the world. It's a day that's created by the UN to remember aid workers who step into danger and to remind us of the people who carry communities through conflict and crisis. This year's theme revolves around global solidarity and giving more power to local communities. The idea is very simple. Those closest to the suffering must also be the closest to solutions.
Speaking of the India story, India has voices that stand out in this very conversation. People who don't just talk about humanity but live it in practice. Our first guest is Kailash Satyarthi, Nobel Peace Prize recipient. He's a Nobel Peace Prize laureate. He has dedicated his whole life campaigning for children's rights. We go across to him. He is someone who says compassion is action. He's been essentially advocating for bridging the gap between the problem and the problem solver. Through Bachpan Bachao Andolan and the Global March Against Child Labour, he's rescued children and pushed governments to act. Today, he continues that mission through the Satyarthi movement. Going across to our guest this morning, a very good morning, sir. Thank you for taking out the time. You're watching the Breakfast Club, viewers, and this is a voice you must listen into, because so much change, sir, that you've really worked on since 1980s. Tell us a little bit about this journey. Just last year, you've started another movement. You've been speaking or advocating for children's rights, not just pushing for education, but also ensuring that child labor is something that, becomes a rarity in our country. How has it been, sir? Tell us a little bit about this journey.
Thank you. So I send my best wishes to all those who believe in humanity and humanitarianism. But today, I would say that there are two approaches. One is the conventional humanitarianism, where you do charity, kindness, helping each other and so on. That's great. But another aspect is dynamic or transformational humanitarianism, which I opted for all my life. So, and that fits well with today's theme. When it comes to strengthening global solidarity, perhaps you know that me and my colleagues have organized the longest ever march, the Global March Against Child Labor in 1998. That has built 25,000 organizations, all the trade unions of the world, all the teachers' unions of the world, and all the major NGOs, civil society organizations, governments, ILO, all UN agencies together. And we have succeeded in building the largest ever social mobilization and the global solidarity. And that has resulted in the adoption of a new law ILO Convention on the Worst Forms of Child Labor. That was my and my colleagues' demand. And we have built another largest ever social mobilization and movement called Global Campaign for Education. And by the grace of God and love of all, these are the two crazy ideas which me and my colleagues have executed and built the strongest solidarity movements in the world. And of course, as you mentioned, we have been freeing children from slavery, and my organizations and colleagues have physically rescued over 140,000 children over the years and handed over back to their parents. But more importantly, or equally important, is to create a situation where we empower the communities at local level, at the village level and community level, where this problem of trafficking and child labor could be prevented. So we have created over 1,500 child-friendly communities, child-friendly villages, what we call the compassionate communities, and over 2.3 million people were empowered, and they have completely denied child slavery, child labor, trafficking, child abuse, child trafficking, and ensure education for girls and boys in their communities. So there are two examples I've given, but so these are the examples of transformational humanitarianism, which I call compassion. So compassion not as kindness, charity, mercy, but compassion is a disruptive, dynamic, and transformational force.
Sir, can we ask you, we are so honored to have you with us on the show. We're so grateful for the work you've done over the last few decades. Sir, can we ask you, you were talking a little bit earlier about how you've made multiple communities across the country, villages, child-friendly. But I want to understand from you, sir, what does that behavioral change actually take? So how did you make that behavioral change where villages come together and recognize that child labor is something we need to stop? How did that happen? How long does it typically take in a village? Just break that down for us.
Well, the behavioral change is must for sustainable solutions which can stay longer or stay forever in the community. And that means one has to merge himself or herself while working with the communities. If the people go, the social workers go as someone who is changing the society or empowering the society, they are not able to feel the problems and the language of the people. More importantly, the language, the behavior of those people have to be felt very deeply.
Right.
So if you go as an outsider, it won't work. So one has to have trust with the communities and try to merge with them and live with them and play and eat with them. That we do and my people do. And that helped in building the trust, and eventually slowly we are able to bring those ideas that how important is education, how important is liberty, dignity, human rights, and all those things. So we don't go, if somebody goes as somebody who is empowering or giver or doing charity, it won't work. Unfortunately, this is happening in the name of humanitarian work.
Sir, you spoke about your vision for compassion and how you want global compassion to turn into a movement, and how that must be the driving force to people to finally act. That's such a great thought in itself. But tell us one of these many thoughts that came to you first, that led you to full-fledgedly get into this journey, leave behind, your career, the other things that you were set for in life. You've spoken in your speeches about these stories of certain things that a few children have come up to you and said, and how that has made all the difference. Would you want to tell us about these stories? So it just acts as an inspiration this morning for the rest of us.
Well, there are many stories. As I said, that we have freed over 140,000 children, so there are 140,000 individual stories. But I can share one of them, which is so, challenging or disrupting or disappointing, and always chased me. Once we came to know that there were a number of people enslaved in a stone quarry in Haryana, and their parents or grandparents have been trafficked from Rajasthan, from some village in Rajasthan. So many of these children and their parents were born and grew up in stone quarry in slavery. So when we went to free those children, we learned that children, men and women, of course, 3 generations, we were informed that this quarry was illegally run by a very strong mafia kind of politician, and it was not possible to go and rescue them with the help of police. And police and local authorities were connived. So we did some recce in the middle of the nights every day for a few days. And one morning at, say, 5, 6 o'clock, we were able to do a rescue operation, because that was the time when this watchman carrying, so-called watchman, henchman in fact, carrying a gun, used to go to freshen up. So when we rescued these people, I was driving very fast, carrying a group of children with me, and there was a truck, so other people were loaded in the truck. So when I was driving fast, suddenly I saw that all children were traumatized because they were all born in slavery and they have never seen roads and houses and so on. So I asked them to take some bananas which were lying in the back of the car. So the girls and boys picked up the bunch of banana and talking to each other, what kind of onion is it? I insisted that please eat, this is fruit that is sweet, but they have never tasted anything which was sweet. But somehow I insisted and they started eating, trying to push inside, throwing, because I realized that they were not taught by me or anyone that how to eat bananas. Without peeling, they were trying to push inside their mouth. And then after a while, I felt a kind of a girl, maybe 7, 8 year old. She hit my shoulder with anger, with deep emotion, with some expectation, with some sense of trust in the humanity. And her name was Devli. And her question was very simple. Kyun re? Tu pehle ko nahi aayo? Oh man, why didn't you come sooner? She asked. And this was the question not for me, but for everyone who believe in humanity, who believe in constitution, justice, laws, God, religions. Why didn't you come sooner? She asked. And there are millions of children in the world who are living and languishing like that. And why can't we go there to bring back and restore their childhood and freedom and education and everything? So that was one of those things which haunted me. But I tell you that all my work in the life, I was attacked several times, my family was attacked, I have my broken leg, my broken shoulder, my broken back and broken head. And all these things happened while rescuing children and their parents from slavery. But it was not, my drive was not a political ideology, or I wanted to go to heaven to enjoy my life, not like that. My drive was very simple. It was compassion. And for me, compassion is not a soft emotion like kindness or mercy or charity or benevolence. No, these are good human traits, though. But compassion is the force born from feeling the suffering of others as your own, and that force drives you to take mindful action to solve the problem. So compassion is the only transformative power which can challenge and change the situation of degrading humanity and ruining humanity, in fact,
Right.
which are deep-rooted. The causes are deep-rooted in the systems and structures and institutions. That is possible only through compassion, and that is the reason actually I thought to launch this first ever worldwide movement for globalizing compassion.
Mr. Satyarthi, thank you for joining us this morning. I loved your definition of compassion, and speaking to exactly that definition, joining us next is Dipesh Tank. He's an activist who's put himself at risk to protect women and children. In a sense, he has been pushed into action by exactly this, empathy and seeing the issues around him. Now, Dipesh has gone undercover to rescue girls from trafficking, stood up against harassment on Mumbai's trains, and spearheaded campaigns like Dear Men to push for accountability. It's an effort to build awareness about the issue of human trafficking in India. He's also spoken bluntly about how India needs a strong anti-trafficking law. Let's go over to him just to have him on with us this morning. Dipesh, we are so grateful to have you on the show this morning. Dipesh, tell us, your story is a different one. It is a metropolitan one in that your story just started a few years ago. I think in around 2013, it was the first time I think you'd been moved so much by Nirbhaya and everything you'd seen in the news, the media. Tell us a little bit about what made you say, I want to start acting against this, and what you first started doing on Mumbai's metros was very different from what you're doing today. So walk us through the first years.
Correct. It was 2006 actually when I started a small not-for-profit to mobilize the young energy to do something meaningful. It's when the Mumbai train bomb blast happened, and the primary objective was only and only to get the young minds to do something more concrete and constructive. And then it kept on going, and we kept doing few things to support the local communities outskirts of Mumbai. But the real shaking happened when the Nirbhaya gang rape happened, and I'm sure it shook the nation's overall conscience. But it also made me feel really terrible as a human being, as an individual with such heinous act of crime. And I felt like I should not just burst my anger out and just keep it and channelize it in whatever ways I could. And a year back, I got an opportunity in 2013, and I was traveling in the train, and I saw these bunch of men who are traveling in the train in the peak hours, and they thought they were above the law. And I'm from Mumbai and relatively safe, and I'm not trying to say like there are more unsafe places outside Mumbai, but there is a limitation. There is a certain level of maryada. I would like to use that word for Mumbai, and personally, I did not like it as a Mumbaiker. I tried to stop these guys, but they ran away. But then it made me feel like, okay, something concrete needs to be done, and I started a campaign with friends of mine. It was called the War Against Railway Rowdies, with the objective to stop these men who think they are above law, and with the help of police, of course. And we started conducting surveys to understand what is the current situation, and then we told the authorities. They helped us out a couple of times, but then it had to sustain. So the sustaining went on with capturing their act, but it became very difficult at times to record and hold the train with the rush. So I end up buying with a friend of mine, Bhavin Shah. He helped me out getting a camera which had a camera on my sunglasses, and that kind of helped me a lot. It made my life easier. My chances of falling off the train was quite less. So War Against Railway Rowdies happened, and it kept going on until 2016. I saw this one young girl who was 13-year-old, and she was pregnant, and it broke me again completely. And I'm like, what is it that needs to be done? And I always ask this question, like, it's easy to feel the pain and sorrow, but what do you think you can do to change it? And that's how my anti-human trafficking work started. I had absolutely no clue about what human trafficking per se is. It doesn't even sound so bad, unfortunately.
Dipesh, tell us a little bit about that, and then we can go on to talk about how the film has depicted it too.
Sure.
Going undercover, posing as a film director and carrying out this real life operation. Tell us a little bit about that journey in itself, that one phase, that one undercover operation, and the success that you managed to achieve through that very operation.
Yeah, in hindsight, it sounds really fun, but it was really, really dangerous because I'm from Mumbai and I have no clue about what's happening in Bihar. We got a call from this lady saying that my sister's daughters are pushed into are trafficked and they've been brought to India, and we don't know where they are. So we try to find out, and sometimes they are hoax, and sometimes they are very dangerous calls because there are people who don't like us, and these people benefit from human trafficking nexus. So we wanted to show whether this information is authentic or not. We tried. We took a risk and we went to Bihar. We found out the trafficker was somewhere in Bihar, and we wanted to find within this one place in Bihar. It's a small district very close to the Nepal border, and we wanted to find out where are these girls. So we posed as casting directors, saying that there is a film celebrity, a Bollywood celebrity who would come and shoot next month, and if anybody has human resources for dancing and as a crowd management and all of that. So there was this one guy which we pinpointed, and we don't know whether he was the real guy. And we stayed at his place and functioned with in a clarity where like we wanted to find the girls. We bought the tailor, and we tried to find so many children who came for auditioning, and all that thing happened for like about 3-4 days. And then one night, this guy showed me this girl who we were actually looking out for out of the two girls, and she was in the outs in the farmhouse of this person, and then with the help of police again, in the morning we conducted the raid and we rescued this girl, and we found another 3-4 girls who were from Maharashtra and Orissa and other parts of the country. So yeah, it was really dangerous because you've always heard these names of these places in movies and other places, and to function and go there, I would be very honest, like it's not. It is definitely frightening.
I want to, Dipesh, can we ask you? Everyone watching this, if you ask them, are you against trafficking, they will say yes, yet it takes place around us every single day. As a country, where do you think we're going wrong? What do you want to see change in the parliament across the country? Tell us more.
I think there is a clear understanding of demand and supply. We have to understand trafficking is happening because there is a demand. Okay, it is highly important that men need to stop buying sex. It's extremely important that the moment you ask for certain pleasures of life for men, there will be supply will be done. And to stop that, the demand has to be cut. And the demand has to be cut in a way where anti-trafficking laws have to be stronger. And if I am not wrong, there is an anti-trafficking law which is still pending in the parliament, and that needs to be passed through parliament and put it in implementation. And other than that, it's important to not overlook issues like human trafficking as not a very convenience charity, because people don't want to go to shelter homes where they don't get photographs to be clicked when they give something to children, and hence they are always being neglected, and most of these girls are really traumatized. They need love and empathy and compassion from us, and it is extremely important that we understand and acknowledge the issue of human trafficking in our country and not hide under the carpet.
Dipesh, it's very easy to talk right, very difficult, takes a lot of courage to change wrong or turn wrong to right. And thank you so much for the brilliant work you've put in. Thank you for being such a huge change maker in our society and for walking the talk really. Thank you, Dipesh. We will reconnect with you. There's lots more we wanted to ask, but we've run out of time this morning.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, with that, it's time for us to head into a very short breather, but we're not done as yet. As promised, we will go across to Mrs. 2025, who is an Indian origin woman. She's created history in ways more than one. We'll talk all about her life and her achievements in just a bit.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
We're
We're getting a breaking input at this point. U.S. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that U.S. President Donald Trump has imposed tariff on India in order to deter Russia from pursuing the Ukraine conflict. Now remember, Trump has doubled India's tariff to 50% by imposing an additional 25% levy on the previously announced 25%. Now White House said that those sanctions were aimed at putting secondary pressure on Moscow.
The president has put tremendous public pressure to bring this war to a close. He's taken actions, as you've seen, sanctions on India and other actions as well. He's made himself very clear that he wants to see this war end. And he has scoffed at the ideas of others that have been raised that we should wait another month before any meeting takes place. The president wants to move, and he wants to bring this war to an end as quickly as possible.
All right, I'm now joined by CNN News 18 Siddhant Mishra on this broadcast. Siddhant, so the defense that is coming in from the US administration is that the increase in tariff is to put pressure on Moscow. All right, we seem to have lost that connection. Siddhant, if you could hear me, the statement that is coming in from the US press secretary is that in order to put pressure on Moscow as far as Ukraine and Russia is concerned, that is why double tariff is being levied on India.
Well, that's the narrative which Americans are trying to build. So Sharon, this is quite understood by now that President Trump wants to justify his tariff card. And each time around, if he does something, he brings tariff in between and says that, look, I have got this deal because of tariff. I have got Putin at the tables to talk because of the tariff. I have stopped India-Pakistan war because of the tariff. So, whatever his administration do these days, he gives tariff a credit for it. So this is kind of a narrative which they are trying to build because, Sharon, the fact is there's a lot of pressure on Trump administration within the United States. Many are not liking his tariff policies. The cost of commodities are going up, etc., etc. So, to justify this entire tariff and, projecting tariff as a tool, perhaps this has been going on since the very beginning. So it is in the same series, and perhaps this is nothing new. In fact, before this also, many officials in the Trump administration said this, that because 25% additional penalty was imposed on India, so Putin came to the table to speak with President Trump. So that's their narrative. Also, there's no comments on India as far as this particular statement coming from the United States. Nor Russia has ever accepted anything that this has to do with the tariff imposed on India. But as I said, that it suits their narrative, it suits their politics, and that's why they're doing it.
All right. Many thanks, Siddhant, for getting us on.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
We're getting a breaking input at this point. U.S. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that U.S. President Donald Trump has imposed tariff on India in order to deter Russia from pursuing the Ukraine conflict. Now remember, Trump has doubled India's tariff to 50% by imposing an additional 25% levy on the previously announced 25%. Now White House said that those sanctions were aimed at putting secondary pressure on Moscow.
The president has put tremendous public pressure to bring this war to a close. He's taken actions, as you've seen, sanctions on India and other actions as well. He's made himself very clear that he wants to see this war end. And he has scoffed at the ideas of others that have been raised that we should wait another month before any meeting takes place. The president wants to move, and he wants to bring this war to an end as quickly as possible.
All right, I'm now joined by CNN News 18 Siddhant Mishra on this broadcast. Siddhant, so the defense that is coming in from the US administration is that the increase in tariff is to put pressure on Moscow. All right, we seem to have lost that connection. Siddhant, if you could hear me, the statement that is coming in from the US press secretary is that in order to put pressure on Moscow as far as Ukraine and Russia is concerned, that is why double tariff is being levied on India.
Well, that's the narrative which Americans are trying to build. So Sharon, this is quite understood by now that President Trump wants to justify his tariff card, and each time around, if he does something, he brings tariff in between and says that, look, I have got this deal because of tariff. I have got Putin at the tables to talk because of the tariff. I have stopped India-Pakistan war because of the tariff. So, whatever his administration do these days, he gives tariff a credit for it. So this is kind of a narrative which they are trying to build because, Sharon, the fact is there's a lot of pressure on Trump administration within the United States. Many are not liking his tariff policies. The cost of commodities are going up, etc., etc. To justify tariff, this entire tariff, and projecting tariff as a tool, perhaps this has been going on since the very beginning. So it is in the same series, and perhaps this is nothing new. In fact, before this also, many officials in the Trump administration said this, that because 25% additional penalty was imposed on India, so Putin came to the table to speak with President Trump. So that's their narrative. Also, there's no comments on India as far as this particular statement coming from the United States. Nor Russia has ever accepted anything that this has to do with the tariff imposed on India. But as I said,
Welcome back. We now return with our person of interest this morning. Millie Bhaskar has made history as the first Indian origin woman to be crowned Mrs. Earth 2025 in Florida. A corporate leader, entrepreneur and yoga instructor, she balances boardrooms with community advocacy.
Her platform champions environmental sustainability, mental wellness, causes that she hopes will be becoming global. This morning on The Breakfast Club, we speak to her about her journey, the challenges and the responsibility of wearing the crown. Millie, it is so lovely to have you here. Congratulations. You look absolutely lovely.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time out.
Millie, tell us a little bit about the final moments leading up to winning the title Mrs. Earth 2025.
Absolutely. So the title and the ceremony happened on July 18th, 2025 in Orlando, Florida. It was a week-long event. We had almost 24 countries attending from world over. It's been a very surreal experience, a very gratifying experience for me. As I said, it was like a week-long event, and then we had a slew of activities in multiple rounds, starting from fitness, going to interview, talking about our campaign, talking about the cause that what we are there for. So all of that happened in that 5 to 6 days, and ultimately we had the main event, the evening gown and the finale round on July 18th. It was at the end of it. It was two people on the platform. It was me and my beautiful friend, Mrs. USA Earth, who was the first runner-up, and it turned out great for me and for everybody who attended the event.
With this title comes the responsibility of championing the environmental sustainability cause as a cause. What are your thoughts there around it?
Absolutely. The center and the core of the Mrs. Earth pageant, and the pageant is into its 19th year of existence, has always been environmental sustainability, eco wellness, and making sure that everybody shows up being responsible towards Mother Earth. So, yes, everybody who shows up for the event and the campaign and the pageant has to have some kind of a sustainability cause at the center of it. And also, when you talk about sustainability, it's not just about environmental sustainability, it is about sustainability as humankind too. So, my campaign was mixed around eco wellness and making sure that we show up as a mentally resilient human race to make sure that we are providing for and showing up for Mother Earth. So my campaign was about rising strong, the mental resilience of adolescents, me being a mother of 2 teenage kids myself and seeing the effect and the impact that COVID-19, for instance, had on the adolescents and on the teenage group. I came up with this campaign where we use yoga and breath work to make sure that we are inculcating mental resilience and overall health awareness in the age group of 13 to 19 years old.
Okay, lovely. Millie, we've heard already a lot about breath work, about yoga, about mental resilience. Is this a cause very, very close to your heart, very personal to you?
Absolutely. As I said, mother of 2, juggling with a lot of things and seeing my children grow and seeing the peer pressure that they have as they go through their days, as they go through the various strenuous activities that they are part of in this ever-changing world. That's when I realized that they need something to go back to. They need something to center themselves, to keep themselves grounded and make sure that they are not, they're not breaking under pressure when they're going through all of these challenging things in their lives. That is where I came up with this, as I said, the Rising Strong campaign. And right now what I'm trying to do is that using a lot of channels, which is basically trying to put through into the Canadian curriculum this whole concept of breathwork and the science of yoga. It is basically staying away from the religious aspect of it, but more so from a scientific aspect. The making sure that yoga as a science is incorporated in the Canadian curriculum, and also making sure that we have a lot of community outreach programs where we are engaging youth, we are engaging students from the age group of 13 to 19 years, making sure that we are inculcating all those programs through the community outreach initiatives that we have, and also making sure that we are doing a lot of outreach in terms of our social campaigns, making aware of people that such a channel is there for them to look at mental awareness or mental resilience, and making sure that breathwork can be a life-changing experience for our mental well-being.
How do you strike that work-life balance? It's a question that many of us struggle with. What's your own personal formula to that?
It's definitely been a roller coaster ride for me in my life. I've gone from one thing to the other. I believed strongly in not settling, making sure that I explore every facet of myself. But I think at the center or at the core of all of it is the fact that I have a very, very strong family support. I have a beautiful and wonderful husband, a very supportive partner, have beautiful children who are very self-reliant, and also supportive parents who has been my pillar of strength, and making sure that I've never clipped my dreams. I have always dreamt of unrealistic things, and they've always supported me through those journeys. So I think it is family at the core of it, and having a beautiful support system back home that's ensured that I do well in all facets of my life.
How lovely. Millie, winning any title is not all glitz and glamour. There is another side to it. So tell us a little bit about that side, the challenges, and what your message would be essentially to those, who are seeing this as a big challenge in terms of, whether or not it's too late now to walk that journey. What would your message be for them?
it's like a lot of hard work that goes in showing up well for such events. But all I wanted to say, or I rather want to say, with to people and to women out there who really want to explore something like this, is that it is a very inclusive environment in pageantry right now. People are welcoming different kinds of inclusivity, in the sense that it's body inclusivity that I can see in pageantry right now, especially in the Mrs. world. So if you think you have a passion, if you think that you have a cause and you want a platform to champion for, I think platforms like Mrs. Earth is a beautiful venue for you to show up, explore yourself, understand yourself, do a journey of self-discovery, and also come forward with your cause and make sure that it is heard in this world and there is people to champion for it.
We are sharing these very lovely photos of you and your family. Just tell us, Millie, a little bit about, because we want to go back to that Earth theme we were talking about a little earlier. You had a sea-themed costume in this pageant that was made from recycled plastic. This was for the eco-wear round. We'll just pull up that visual. Tell us about it.
I engaged with an Egyptian designer. Her name is Sandy Makar. She is an award-winning designer who shows up for events like Miss Eco International. So the whole concept behind using recycled plastic was actually to draw awareness on the impact of plastic on our water bodies. We have seen numerous videos, numerous campaigns of how plastic is actually being detrimental for our environment and especially for our water bodies. You may have seen personally a lot of videos where we have seen how marine life is impacted and marine life is harmed because of plastic in the ocean. A lot of dead marine bodies floating in the water because of plastic being present. And also, the impact of plastic being there in all of our water when we are consuming it too. So I just wanted to draw awareness of the bad impact that plastic has. And that is why this concept came of using recycled plastic and creating some eco-wear dress that is basically purely driven out of plastic. And it had droplets, like tear droplets coming out of the dress. I will definitely share the picture with you. The droplets coming out of the dress, which basically showed that how Mother Nature or how the oceans are actually weeping because of all the plastic that is thrown into them and how much nature is suffering in the bargain.
Very thoughtful. Millie, you're the first Indian origin woman to receive this title, to win this title. Tell us a little bit about your life spent in India. For how long were you here? Tell us a little more.
I hail from Kannur, Kerala, India. It's a small town towards the north part of India. I've been there almost all of my life, or maybe more than half of my life there. Born and brought up, education has been there. I've been educated in a convent in Kannur, St. Teresa's, and then I did my education for +2 in Chinmaya Vidyalaya. And then, so it's Kannur and Kerala and India is part of me. You can never take India out of me. I've always remained an Indian, and I think it's basically helped me to show up, whether it is being part of this pageantry or whether it's being part of Mrs. Earth or being Mrs. Canada before being Mrs. Earth. I think it's helped me to show up with a very, very multicultural identity and to show up as somebody who has different flavors of culture within her, whether it be part of Canada that I was having, or whether it be the major portion of India and Indian culture that I had. I think the values that got instilled in me during my childhood and the Indian culture and the authenticity with which Indians show up in everything that they do, I think that helped me through this journey of being Mrs. Earth.
Such an essential part of the pageant is the message that women should never believe that their age is connected to their worth. And we just want to understand from you, for women who think it might be too late to pursue their dreams, who might be hesitant to take a giant leap into the unknown, what would your message be?
It's never too late. I think there is no age. There is no age limit for you to dream. There is no age limit for you to show up. If you believe in something, And if you truly believe in that concept that you're living with, then I think everything around in this universe will conspire for you to show up and show up well. So if you have a dream, if you have something that you live for or you're too passionate about, make sure that you give your everything to it, and then you will see it comes back to you manifold, 1,000 times greater, 1,000 times more regal, 1,000 times more stronger, and it will make you bloom in life. So go with your passion, go with your dreams, let it never limit you, your thoughts never limit you. Just go for it, and you will see it translate so beautifully in your life.
Okay, so we'll leave you viewers with that positive note, that positive thought. Thank you so much, Millie, for being such an inspiration, and thank you for speaking to us here on The Breakfast Club. Okay, with that we get to another story. This is a story of non-profit that's transforming education in rural India, one school at a time. Crumbling classrooms are a thing of the past. Community efforts are slowly making quality education for a reality for hundreds of children.
Find out how a Bangalore-based organization is bridging the gap and empowering young minds. Harish brings us this report. Take a look.
Children in villages across the country, the difference between crumbling classroom and a proper school building can mean the difference between dropping out and dreaming bigger. In Masti, a village in Kolar, that change has come brick by brick through a Bengaluru-based non-profit called One School at a Time, or OSAT. Started by US-based tech professionals, the group has just dedicated its 100th renovated government school on July 26th. Masti is best known as the hometown of Kannada writer and Jnanapita awardee Masti Venkatesha Iyengar. And now it also has a school that finally matches that cultural legacy with modern infrastructure. The Masti Karnataka Public School is OSAT's biggest project yet. The Tucker family, who contributed over 8 crore rupees, say their vision goes beyond just construction. They want the school to be a model that thrives on community involvement and sustained results.
Why should children be in rural areas suffer? And when we started to dig deep into it, it became apparent the depth of the problem. And we decided that helping such school, well-deserving school in rural areas should be the mission, and not just helping them and improve the quality of education in the rural area. That became the vision and mission of OSAT. And since then, in the last 23 years almost, we have built about 108 schools, and Masti is our 100th project, which we laid the foundation. And so far we have helped about 108 schools, benefiting close to 75,000 in children in physical infrastructure.
The transformation is striking. 20 new classrooms, 3 laboratories, along with new toilets and a kitchen. The school now serves close to 800 children from kindergarten to class 8, with lessons in both Kannada and English. Behind the effort is the Tucker Family Foundation, led by US-based businessman Janardhan Tucker, who grew up in Gujarat and studied in Mysore before moving abroad. He has also backed other philanthropic initiatives, including funding a large kitchen for the Akshaya Patra in Bengaluru.
Where I grew up in Mumbai, I went to government school. So one thing that stays in your mind is what level of education do you receive in government school then or today. It's like 50 years gone by and it's still the same. So it reminded me that if we're going to bring the level of education up in India amongst the less fortunate population, we need to create a school that has a high level of education quality. Teachers' quality has to be higher. The students should be performing year after year a little better. And it has to be a holistic environment.
Teachers and students say they're glad to finally have facilities that match those in private schools.
I'm very happy to say that This institution is one of the oldest institution in Vasti, and also I thanks Wasat institution to bring a new building including a very good modern infrastructures like a private institutions.
This school in Masti is more than just new walls and classrooms. It's proof that when communities, donors and government come together, opportunity can be built brick by brick. It shows how private initiatives can complement public effort and how bridging education gap begins with giving every child the chance to learn in a space worthy of their dreams. In Bengaluru, Harish Upadhyaya for CNN News 18.
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes on the other side.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
We're getting a breaking input at this point. U.S. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt said that U.S. President Donald Trump has imposed tariff on India in order to deter Russia from pursuing the Ukraine conflict. Now remember, Trump has doubled India's tariff to 50% by imposing an additional 25% levy on the previously announced 25%. Now White House said that those sanctions were aimed at putting secondary pressure on Moscow.
The president has put tremendous public pressure to bring this war to a close. He's taken actions, as you've seen, sanctions on India and other actions as well. He's made himself very clear that he wants to see this war end, and he has scoffed at the ideas of others that have been raised that we should wait another month before any meeting takes place. The president wants to move, and he wants to bring this war to an end as quickly as possible.
All right, I'm now joined by CNN News 18 Siddhant Mishra on this broadcast. Siddhant, so the defense that is coming in from the US administration is that the increase in tariff is to put pressure on Moscow. All right, we seem to have lost that connection. Siddhant, if you could hear me, the statement that is coming in from the statement that is coming in from the US press secretary is that in order to put pressure on Moscow as far as Ukraine and Russia is concerned, that is why double tariff is being levied on India.
Well, that's the narrative which Americans are trying to build. So Sharon, this is quite understood by now that President Trump wants to justify his tariff card. And each time around, if he does something, he brings tariff in between and says that, look, I have got this deal because of tariff. I have got Putin at the tables to talk because of the tariff. I have stopped India-Pakistan war because of the tariff. So, whatever his administration do these days, he gives tariff a credit for it. So this is kind of a narrative which they are trying to build because, Sharon, the fact is there's a lot of pressure on Trump administration within the United States. Many are not liking his tariff policies. The cost of commodities are going up, etc., etc. To justify tariff, this entire tariff, and projecting tariff as a tool, perhaps this has been going on since the very beginning. So it is in the same series, and perhaps this is nothing new. In fact, before this also, many officials in the Trump administration said this, that because 25% additional penalty was imposed on India, so Putin came to the table.
right, next we bring you a special section on financial markets powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium healthcare metals destination for investing and business insights. Let's take a look first at markets. GIFT Nifty is indicating a weak opening for Indian stock markets today. US stock markets closed lower on selling in shares of tech companies. Asian stock markets opened lower, tracking the losses in US stocks. Crude oil prices are steady on decline in inventories in the US.
And now we move on to the Indian electrical transformer sector. It's witnessing strong growth. Main drivers of growth are modernization of existing infrastructure, pickup in power demand and integration of renewable power into the national grid. National Electricity Plan aims to expand the transmission network by 33% between 2024 and 2032. This presents a huge opportunity for the domestic transformer component industry. So do log into Money Control Pro to find out more about India's electrical transformer sector. Now the actionable insights on markets.
All right, with that, we're drawing our show to a close. Thank you for staying with us through the Breakfast Club. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a lovely day. Bye.
Brought to you by This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
We're getting a breaking input at this point. U.S. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that U.S. President Donald Trump has imposed tariff on India in order to deter Russia from pursuing the Ukraine conflict. Now remember, Trump has doubled India's tariff to 50% by imposing an additional 25% levy on the previously announced 25%. Now White House said that those sanctions were aimed at putting secondary pressure on Moscow.
The president has put tremendous public pressure to bring this war to a close. He's taken actions, as you've seen, sanctions on India and other actions as well. He's made himself very clear that he wants to see this war end. And he has scoffed at the ideas of others that have been raised that we should wait another month before any meeting takes place. The president wants to move and he wants to bring this war to an end as quickly as possible.
All right, I'm now joined by CNN News 18 Siddhant Mishra on this broadcast. Siddhant, so the defense that is coming in from the US administration is that the increase in tariff is to put pressure on Moscow. All right, we seem to have lost that connection. Siddhant, if you could hear me, the statement that is coming in from the statement that is coming in from the US press secretary is that in order to put pressure on Moscow as far as Ukraine and Russia is concerned, that is why double tariff is being levied on India.
Well, that's the narrative which Americans are trying to build. So Sharon, this is quite understood by now that President Trump wants to justify his tariff card. And each time around, if he does something, he brings tariff in between and says that, look, I have got this deal because of tariff. I have got Putin at the tables to talk because of the tariff. I have stopped India-Pakistan war because of the tariff. So, whatever